Hello, everyone. It's Michelle Mahar here, and today I'm here joined with Bobby Umar. Thank you so much, Bobby, for giving me your time to talk about what we're going through and keeping a positive mindset while figuring out how to be creative and pivot in your business and possibly life as well. So
I'm happy
thank
to be
you.
here. I'm happy to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. So if you want to just give us a few words about who you are and what you're all about.
Sure. I'm a professional speaker. I've been doing that for about 15 years, traveling around the world, speaking on topics around soft skills and leadership was the initial stage, but now I became more known as an expert in authentic connection and networking, personal branding, and digital influence and social media because I have 500,000 followers on social media. And so I talk about that as in the realm of what I call the power of connection. So connection with each other, connection with yourselves, and connection with the world. Also, in the last 5 years, I've gotten into doing online programs around networking and speaking and personal branding, and I also do a lot of coaching now. A little bit before, but now I'm dabbling more into it because of what's going on. And then I think with the advent of COVID, it's really been a huge shift. You know, like a landscape shift that's been monumental, and we don't even know where it's going to end. But we're all doing the best we can. And I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and so I think I have a bit of and a parent, so I have a bit of resilience in kind of dealing with uncertainty. But I think the part that I think is harder to navigate is I see three main challenges. One is the uncertainty aspect because we don't know what's going on in 2 weeks or next month, the fall, or next year. And anything that happens 2 weeks from now, something could happen a week before that affects it 2 weeks later. And so we have to constantly be dealing with that. The other issue is what we call overwhelm, the overwhelm principle, which is, overwhelm of work and domestic affairs and childcare and everything like that. There's also overwhelm of information that's coming down the pipeline from various people, your employers, from scientists, from the medical community, from your friends. And then there's disinformation, and how do you sort through all that stuff? So I think people are feeling very overwhelmed. And then the third issue is, which combines the other two, is mental health, mental wellness. Because of the uncertainty, because of the overwhelm, people are struggling to navigate this new, I don't call it the new normal, it's kind of the now normal, because it's for now. And, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate this in the best way we can. For me, I had to, it was interesting for me because everything happened so fast in terms of within a 72-hour period, we had realized, oh my gosh, the NBA is shutting down, and the sleepover is the last sleepover we're gonna do with my son, and then we're shutting down our house and we're social isolating for 2 weeks. Like it all happened within 3 days. It was super, super fast. And
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was that was. Sorry, it was the Thursday afternoon. I actually was at a board meeting.
Right.
I belonged to one of the networking groups that I belong. It was our monthly board meeting. Left that board meeting, and all of a sudden I had all these texts, end of the world, from my friends, and then that was when the NBA announced that they were suspending the season, and it was, and then it just like I thought, oh my God, because sports, winter sports get canceled. And then it just went downhill with the grocery store lineups and for the social media.
And for the first month, I was just scrambling to make sure my kids taken care of and what are we going to do and make sure they're occupied. And I didn't realize after about a month, all my events started getting canceled. Oh, because they all kind of happened one after the other. Some weren't canceling; they were still waiting. The ones in May and June weren't sure, but then pretty soon they were canceled.
Right.
And so a month later, I was like, first off, overwhelmed with what am I going to do with my kids, but then secondly, holy cow, everything is gone. All the events are gone, and it took a while to get my head around that. And I realized, wow, there's going to be no cash flow for like 6 months. What am I going to do? Most organizations and conferences were canceling outright, not even rescheduling because they didn't know what they were going to do because again, dealing with the uncertainty principle. And so I had to figure out how to pivot. And so I quickly pivoted into focusing on virtual. So doing virtual webinars, online webinars, doing an online panel, trying to pitch my training and speaking as an online thing. But the other challenge that came with that is that, first of all, a lot of people are doing online stuff, so it's hard to break through that clutter. The second piece is when you go to companies, they don't know what they're doing yet. I mean, they weren't sure because, they're in crisis too, so they're kind of cutting back on everything. And the first thing they cut back on is training development. So that wasn't going well. So then I decided to pivot again. So month one was just getting my kids and life in order. Month two was that first pivot, and now I've pivoted again in this third month, which is now I'm pivoting to individuals, because what I'm finding is that a lot of individuals are at home, they're working from home, and they're thinking about their LinkedIn presence, they're thinking about their online presence, they're thinking about their brand, they're thinking about transitioning or pivoting, they're thinking about starting a side hustle. They're out of work, they're like, what do I do now? How do I build up, a platform for myself? And so I'm now doing individual coaching for that transition, the ramping up, the storytelling, video content, LinkedIn, and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing that slow and steadily, and having conversations, getting a few clients. And it's slow. It's a long, slower thing than before. But, I think that I'm trying to stay positive and pivot with positivity. And the other thing I've been doing, aside from the pivoting to this new thing, is I've also been having conversations. So over the past 3 months, I've booked I'd say about 200 calls with various people across everything. So parents, educators, students, thought leaders, influencers, speakers, you name it. And just to learn about what's going on. So from that, I've been able to learn about different trends that are going on across a broad range of industries. I've also been able to process with them mentally what they're going through, and process what I'm going through, and sharing all that. It's been a great way for us for me to help mentally process what's going on, and it's given me a lot of insights into what's going on. It's also made me feel connected with the world, because we're all also connected now via video. And what's interesting is that we're starting to take things. There's certain things we took for granted. We're starting to see things that are special, like the time with my family is really special to me. When I go visit my mom and I'm in the backyard socially distancing for like 10 feet away, it's very, very, it's a very important, it's a short visit, but it's a very powerful visit. We're inviting people in our homes. I'm in my son's room, and so you're getting a glimpse into my home, which is a more intimate thing. So I think the conversations via Zoom and video calls have also been quite powerful. So there is some good here that we can see, and there's opportunity everywhere. It's just a question of, what are we doing about it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. In the beginning, everybody was so overwhelmed by what was happening. Things were changing on an hourly basis. Everyone was glued to the news, glued to watching the political updates, seeing what the government's doing. It was like, I know I was consumed with that on the Thursday. Then on the Friday, I ended up going to Costco to do a stock up. And the liquor store to stock up, because I was afraid they might be closing.
Okay. So you have the right mindset versus toilet paper. Liquor. That's what you need. Liquor and ice cream. That's what we need.
And then it was, and then I started these interviews on the Monday, and I found a lot of people were really getting, like, just didn't know what to do, and it was important for people to get back into some sort of routine and some sort of new routine. And of course, now we've been here 3 months, and everybody's feeling like, this is enough of this 3 months of staying home and things like that. And we see that things are opening up now, of course, not Toronto yet. So then what happened is all of a sudden there was just so much information, and everybody was offering free webinars, free information online, everybody just providing their services, because it was just like I felt with doing these interviews, it was, and you doing all those calls you were talking about, you just wanted to serve and help people.
Right.
And that's how it really felt. So it was nice to see everybody coming together as community in that manner, but you could also get so overwhelmed. I know for me, I signed up for so many webinars I think it was probably the month of April.
Right.
That I was like, I can't do this much, because I need some time to process whatever I've learned in between. Otherwise, what am I learning? So
that's true.
Just like you were saying, there was a lot of online, and there still is a lot of online, because obviously that's the only avenue we have right now. Is online.
Yeah, and I also found that, one thing that I found overwhelming actually was my emails, because
Mm.
I'm the type of person that keeps a very clean email inbox. So
Oh,
I'm a really big deal, delegate, delete, or delay to deal, delegate, and delete. That's my system. And so I typically keep an inbox of less than 30. If it gets above 30, I get a little bit stressed out because there's so much in there. Right now it's at 100, and I can't seem to get it down because it's just so much going on. And so I find that to be just, I sometimes avoid my email now because like, it's just overwhelming. There's so much to deal with. Sometimes I'll just hunker down.
mm,
I'm going to block 2 hours, just like plow through some emails and get 20 done and delegated with and dealt with. And I find that to be
right.
overwhelming. For me, it overwhelms me. Other people, they have 10,000 emails in their inbox, and they're fine with it. But for me,
Yeah,
I find
mine.
that to be a tough.
Yeah, you don't want to see my phone.
Yeah. Yeah, like my phone, it's all clean. Everything's been answered and looked at, right? So
Oh wow, yeah, no,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, there have and a lot of emails because the communication and a lot of communication at first with respect to COVID from every single company,
Yeah.
how they're dealing with it. So
Right. There
yeah,
was so many.
yes, it was just like one thing after another, and so yeah, but the good thing about online is when people are doing these online conferences, you're not restricted by distance. There's no
That's true.
geographical uh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Geographical restriction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or constraint. Yeah, yeah. That's right.
It's just it's global. It's open to the whole world.
Yeah, it's
So
true. Because
the opportunity for a global audience and to connect with so many people you might not have connected with otherwise.
yeah, that's true. In fact, we were doing these Toronto LinkedIn local meetups, and we did 16 of them over the last 2 years, every couple of months, and they were great. We had 50 to 100 people show up. It was a lot of fun. Our last one in February, before everything hit, it was sold out, and it was a fantastic time. But this time we did one on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, and because of the online nature of it, we had someone from Vancouver and another one from New York City to be part of the panel. And so that was a great way to attract a more North American audience. Similarly to the coaching that I'm doing, one of my clients is from South Africa, another one is from Germany. And so I'm now able to leverage and reach out to the world versus normally I normally focus people like in Toronto, the Toronto area. So
Mhm.
it's definitely giving me a more global mindset around, who I reach and who I talk to. So I think that's been a really good benefit of this online world, which we're all going to have to get used to, because I think it's going to go back to virtual is going to be part of our life, and
Oh
it
yeah,
just
even
this just accelerated the process for us to get ourselves up to speed on the technology. But just like back in the email days, before people knew email and everyone was emailing, they had to learn it really fast. Now we have been forced in 3 months to learn about virtual technologies and tools to help us in school, help us in work, and help us everything.
right, and not only the entrepreneurs, but even all the big businesses and all the banks downtown,
Right.
all of a sudden had to have everybody working from home, um, and
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
very quickly.
And
Like
if you don't like
everybody adapted quickly
yeah,
too.
because it's adapt or die. Like if you don't adapt, you're going to be in trouble. And so a lot of the companies, and particularly organizations, are struggling with that, and they need to get themselves up to speed.
Yeah, right, right. So the yeah, dealing with the whole online and everything like that, it definitely will be here even when the live events come back.
Yes.
So even for some people I know who host events in person live
Right.
events, they have now are doing online virtual events.
Yeah.
But of course now, and they like again, it's the global audience that they can capture, but that they put that whole structure in place and that process in place that going forward when they go back to live events, they can do both. They can have their live event but also have that virtual event, for which will keep the global audience going, or people who just don't necessarily want to do the traveling
Yeah.
to the event. So
The part that's going to be interesting though is, what is the right now we're in the now normal, but what's the new normal going to be? And I've been speaking to my speaker agency. I've been speaking to our fellow speakers and trainers and things like that. I'm seeing probably a shift towards more online stuff, maybe a 70-30 split, which means to me that the live events are going to be in-person events are going to be far fewer in between. There's going to be far more
Right.
competition to get to those things. And even when you do, those events will probably not be super large scale events, but more smaller, intimate events. And so I think it's fundamentally going to shift how we do events. It's also going to fundamentally shift how I position myself and put myself out there as a speaker, because I think that I'm going to have a major virtual platform as part of my strategy. Similarly, for the Toronto local meetups, I think there's going to have to be some sort of virtual event that we're doing year round. So I think it's going to shift. We just don't know how it's going to shift. Because the other thing that's going to happen is it's going to take a while for people to get back to being comfortable being in closed spaces. I mean, the worst hit.
Yes, for sure.
The worst hit by this is theater, because at least you can have online events and conferences, but theater, like watching the Lion King from people's, you can't capture Lion King on stage and have everyone into the theater watching it. And when you do it online with cameras, it doesn't work. Like, you can't do that. So they're even more devastated than any other industry I can think of. It's going to be really hard for them to figure out a way to recoup what they're doing for all those artists. So yeah, it's going to be different to see how things pan out.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely, like you say, it didn't take long for us to get so used to all of these terms and the social distancing and the whole concept of it, and to the point where now it feels really weird if somebody were to come within 6 feet of you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people. I mean, there are obviously people who are not doing it, and they could be a lot better. But I think for the most part, yeah, a lot of people are, I think, quite good. And like my kids, we go for a walk every morning, and I watch them. And I see my son veering around people like that's going around, and he's really good. He naturally does it. And then as soon as he comes home, he's like, "Daddy, wash your hands." I'm like, "Okay, okay," and I'll wash my hands. So people are adhering to it. I'm seeing it for the most part. So I think that's good.
Definitely.
And practice makes permanent, right? The more you practice, the more permanent it becomes part of your skill set, your mindset, the way you do things. I think we're all going to get used to it. I mean, it reminds me of someone gave me an analogy actually of seatbelts, which was when I was a kid, we never wore seatbelts.
Right.
I'd be in the back of the car, no seatbelt, but then they brought in seatbelt rules and made it compulsory. But it took a while before everyone started wearing seatbelts. And now, like, I just get in, I put my seatbelt on before I start driving. This is just a natural thing I do because it's just part of what I do. But back in the day, like, it took years before people started making it the normal. And now here, I think whether it's social distancing or whether it's wearing masks, I think people are starting to get used to it and get over any sort of stigma around it. So I think that's going to be a culture shift that's going to happen for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is as well, besides theaters, music concerts.
Yeah.
Live concerts. Can you imagine going to a concert now at 50,000 people? No. And same with sports, right?
Yeah, sports and
coming
concerts.
back.
I mean, and the only thing with those is that you can still have those and broadcast to a large pay-per-view audience.
Right.
You can't do that with a Lion King. It's the only thing. The theater has a certain intimacy to it, but yeah, you're right. Concerts and sporting events, like, yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen. It's going to take a while, and the other thing is, so it'll take us a couple years to get back to it, right? And then we'll get comfortable and we'll start going again. And I think that's going to happen eventually, but it'll take time.
Yeah, right. So now that's why it's very important for, like you were saying, that you're doing this virtual coaching with respect to individual branding, because really it's all about developing your own personal brand. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's a big opportunity, right? I mean, this is the opportunity to make it look amazing and invest the time and energy, right?
Right, exactly. Because going forward, like you say, there's so much noise online. You need to stand out, and you need to stand out from the crowd in some manner.
Right,
and to attract the right clients to you.
Yeah, and one of the things we're finding too with some of the data that's out there is that there's a diminishing trust, right, across the board. So, that we don't know how to trust sources, we don't know how to trust certain pieces of information. So you have to find a way to kind of build that trust by having a strong online presence, by having a strong brand, so people know who you are. They see you talking. I'm a huge advocate for video content. I think every single person out there, if you have a LinkedIn presence, if you have an online website or a brand, you need to have video content that shows you talking to people and that people see you and your personality. So doing this, what you're doing, is good because people see you, they see your personality, the visual pieces. So it's now the best way to get that personal connection versus in person.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because it's the only way. There is no
Yeah.
in person now. So, yeah, for sure. So I think also going forward, so many of the big business and banks and everything
Mhm.
downtown, all those office buildings downtown, I've heard from several people I know who work for banks that they're not even going back this year. So
Yeah.
the whole thing is, I don't know what's going to happen in terms of going forward. Even when
Yeah.
people, as they do go back, it'll be rotating. TGC, they're mandating masks starting in July, but
Yeah. Well, what
again, you need to distance, so you can't have the capacity.
what's I would love to see the data that shows who's effective at virtual working from home, because I have a feeling that there's probably a lot of employees who are actually doing quite well working from home, and they're like, whoa, I don't
Yes,
have to commute now, and I can actually still do my job and do a good job, and some people are thriving in this environment. Other people are like, well, maybe not so much. So I'm curious what the data is going to show
true.
on that, and how companies are going to navigate this. You can say, well, okay, all you extroverts can come to work 3 days a week. All you introverts, you can only come in 1 day a week, and we'll find this happy medium where the individuals will, want to have a little bit more accommodation around what they want. And I think companies are going to have to adhere to that and accommodate all the different individuals that in terms of needs, because we've proven that we can
Right.
work virtually. So now companies
Yes.
can't say, no, we must have you in 5 days a week. What company can say that? Because if an employee is like saying, look, I'm kicking butt here 5 days a week, look how productive I am. I'm doing some amazing work. I mean, no distraction from you guys. I'm an introvert. I love I don't want to be in my cubicle in front of 20 people. Let me just be here and do this work. How's a company going to argue with that? So they're going to have to, adhere and adjust that as well. So that's a huge opportunity for, coming with telecommuting and lowering the mass transit issues and
Right.
all the
And the
commute,
stress. And
the
the
stress of
stress.
commuting.
The stress
Toronto's
of
one of the worst
commuting,
places in the
especially
world.
when if you have to drive or even whatever, you're guaranteed an hour commute, really, unless you do live downtown.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere the average commute in Toronto, the Greater Toronto area, was I think an hour and like 9 or 17 minutes,
Yeah.
but it was one of the worst in North America. And so,
Right.
staying home is actually going to help that significantly.
Yeah, it's the stress and the time, and
Yeah,
you're already at home, and everybody is really appreciating the time that they're having right now with their kids, with the kids being at home. I know it's also a struggle in some respects for when you have younger kids,
yeah,
needing more attention and things like that. For some people that I've spoken
yeah,
to in some of the interviews, who already are running a small business, entrepreneur that's working from home, and all of a sudden the kids are there, and then they're trying to do their business, and the kids keep running in and needing more, more things. And depending, like I had one interview with somebody I know who has a 2-year-old.
oh,
So of
wow,
course, but at the same time, she's really so grateful for this time she has with her daughter, who's 2, because as she was speaking about it, she said before she was running around so worried about her business, rushing here and there and getting her daughter daycare, things like that, that she was doing a mom. That's how she called it, doing a mom. And now she can actually be a mom.
right,
Because, like, in this, with everything being removed, all the distractions being removed from us, we've had the time and the chance to actually be and sit and be present. Like you say, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. The past is gone and we're never going back to that.
yeah,
So all we can do is be present and go day by day and be the best we can, kind of thing. And look at
yeah.
how we were living our life before.
Yeah, I definitely feel
Happy.
that it's been great to see my kids get. I mean, they're fighting more, but they're also closer more. I can see the bond they're having because they're each other's best playmate. My wife and I spend a lot
Yeah.
of time together. The four of us, we go on hikes together. We do a daily walk. Like, there's definitely way greater quality time with my family, which is fantastic. So I really appreciate that. We're definitely seeing a lot of benefits. We're spending less on things. We are spending more time together. We're looking at ways to be environmentally friendly. We're having less impact on the environment. We're
Right.
really valuing every single connection time we have, whether it's calls with grandma or calls with our cousins or family members and friends. So I definitely see a lot of benefits and impact on us positively that we've been getting from this.
Yeah, there's so much we have to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we look back on now, and we took for granted. Like today would be a perfect day to be out on a patio.
Hmm.
And of course, none of our patios in Toronto are open, although they've opened some of the ones, outside. But again, what before, if you would go and meet somebody and have a coffee meeting with
Hmm.
somebody in person, you never thought that that would go away.
Yeah, although, like I said, I've had more intimate conversations via video
Yes,
chats because
true.
instead of being in a coffee shop, now we're in each other's homes, and so it's a more deeper conversation. So I think that's and
That's
also it's
true.
and it's also important for us. Every single conversation starts with, how are you doing?
It,
How are you really doing? And we don't do
that's
that in every
true.
coffee. We want to know how each other's doing because we're all going through it. This is the biggest water cooler moment of the century, right? So we're all it's something that unites us all. And I think that's another thing we're seeing a kind of a global connection to our humanity and what we're going through and what makes us what we think is really important. And so we're looking at our values, we're looking at what's important to us, and we're seeing how we want to spend our time. So I think that's a really another great positive aspect of what we're dealing with.
Exactly right. It's given us the chance to really think about what our values are.
Right.
And the only thing is the people who might be alone, who are
Yes.
having to isolate at home alone and don't necessarily have, it's not, they don't have a family that they're isolating with.
Yeah.
uh it's great that we have this technology, but again, like you were saying, the third thing that you were talking about at the beginning of this, the mental health side
Yeah.
of things,
Yeah.
it's very difficult for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
some, when they're isolated at home alone and don't necessarily have anybody
Yeah.
and then of course the whole financial side of things
Yeah,
as
yeah. No, I
well.
agree. I
So,
agree with that, and I think that combined with people who are in situations where they don't want to be together, so there's a lot
oh
of
yes,
conflict. So that's another
right.
issue. But again, I think that another good thing that's happening is a lot of people are just checking in on their friends. They're checking in on the ones who are
Yes,
alone. Hey, listen, they're checking. How are you doing? Are you okay? Like I was WhatsApping one of my friends. She's alone in Germany, and how's it going? I'm just checking how are things going. I sent a voice message instead of like a text message. So she's like, "Oh, good to hear your voice." These types of things matter, right? And I think that so there,
they do.
we just have to watch out for one another. And I think if that to me is the most important thing, the lesson I can take from this. Having talked to everyone's dealing with this in their own unique individual way, and
Right.
every single one of us has an opportunity to check in on people. Pick 3 or 4 people you want to check in on and just text and see how they're doing. And what's interesting? I was on LinkedIn this morning, and someone said, "Hey, who are people that you love? Name 3 people you love." And I said, "Oh, there's my wife and my mom and I said my best friend." And they're like, "Okay." And he's like, "Why don't you just send him a quick message?" So I sent a quick message to one of my best friends, and said, "Hey, just want to let you know I love you. Hope you're doing well. We haven't talked in months, but want to let you know that." She called me back right away, and we talked for 50 minutes, and I hadn't talked to her in 3 months. Right? Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories from people like that. It's really nice to see everybody coming together as a community, and you understand that it doesn't matter who you are, everybody's affected by this. Even if you have, if you're a billionaire, you're still isolated at home and can't. It still can affect you. The virus can still affect you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's showing that we are all humans and we're all the same. Like we're all equal.
Yeah, no, no, I agree, and I think that, and I think it's okay. It's okay to say that you're struggling. It's okay to say that it's hard. Like I tell people that
Exactly.
I'm not the type of person that has. I don't really have bad days. I have bad hours. But I rebound. I talk to my wife. I talk to my kids. I get help with my daughter, and I go out for fresh air, and I come back to let me focus again. And there are things you can do to try to help cope with it. But I think one of the best ways to cope with is to acknowledge the fact that we are all going through stuff and in our own way. And I think
Yeah.
that makes us all again human.
And it's unprecedented. Like we've never been here before. So it's big stuff that we're going through, really.
Yeah, I
And
remember like the last time I had something like this was, I was 36 hours in a gymnasium during a hurricane, or there was the ice storm and we were like kind of hunkered down for 3 days, but that was about it, right?
right. Yeah. And the thing is that it's okay to have your down times,
Sure.
because the emotions have been like a roller
Yeah.
coaster through that whole thing.
Yes.
And the thing is, we have to make sure to give ourselves grace and not judge ourselves and not judge others in terms of how people are dealing with this. Or if you are feeling down, you have to acknowledge those feelings and process them and get them through.
Yeah.
And like you say, but just don't stay there in the negative space.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
But if you need a day to just stay in bed and watch Netflix, then you take that day. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, what happened to me was that when things first came down the pipeline, I was working every day, and even weekends became work days, and I worked 27 days in a row without a break, and finally said, "Listen, I need to detox here," and so I took 4 days off for Easter, Friday through Monday, and just no work, no emails, no nothing, no phone. I just hung out with the kids, board games, movies, dancing, music, going out for a walk and whatnot, and it was good. It was really helpful to do that. I think we all should start doing that. So now for me, every Saturday is like my day off. We go with the kids, we go for a hike, and that's our family time.
Yeah, that's a great point, because especially in the early times, it was like you don't know what day it is, what day of the week.
Exactly. It's like Groundhog Day.
And
Every day I wake up, you're like, well, what day
yeah,
is it?
yeah, exactly. And the weekends, what was the difference when it was a weekend, especially when
Right.
you've got the kids at home?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't go anywhere
Yeah.
anyhow. So everything was just rolling into, and then the tendency is there's so much that online, so much you can do. I was doing the same thing, working like every day, and yeah, no, you need your downtime. You need self-care is really important too here. You need to take
Self-care.
care of yourself.
I
And
agree, and
yeah.
and that's something I think a lot of people. Oh, I think one of my challenges with self-care actually was always that I would eat food, and that's not that's not the best way for self-care. I probably should do more runs or exercise or things like that, and find other ways to self-care besides food. But I think, yeah, self-care is really, really important for sure.
Yeah, exactly. The especially now, we need to make sure to take care of ourselves, or you can't take care of anyone else.
And what do you do to self-care?
Um, yeah, what do I do? No, yes, but movies. I like to
Movies.
watch movies, or well,
Gotcha.
actually, I have different series on Netflix that I get hooked into.
Okay.
Do a
Okay.
binge
Yeah. Yeah.
watching of Netflix, and
Yeah.
then of
Okay.
course just getting outside. Now I love this weather. I love the summer,
Yeah.
so
Me too.
I like to just sit outside in the backyard and
Nice.
just enjoy the time. And now that it is nicer, we're doing well, like getting together with friends, socially distancing in the backyard, where
Hmm.
we're all
I'm thinking
we have a
about
large backyard, so
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking
we can
about
break it
doing
up.
more. I think I'm thinking about picking up the guitar. And my son was teaching me how to play the ukulele, but I think that maybe I'll take the guitar and just try to learn guitar again and try to figure that out, because I have a guitar, I just don't play it, and I
Oh,
don't know
okay,
I
you
don't know how
have
to
one.
play. I originally got one for a present, and I got lessons, and I started learning, and then it just completely died away. So it just sits there. It's like I should just take it out, just have some place for fun for a couple of hours, and maybe I'll start to pick it up again. Who knows?
Exactly, and that's the thing too. This during this time, a lot of people have gone back to, you go back to thinking, what do I really like? What did I like doing before? What did I like doing when I was a kid?
Yeah,
And there's so much opportunity again to learn that, because
yeah,
everything is online. There's so many, like even the some people are taking university courses online through that
yeah.
Coursera.
Learning
Uh,
languages. That's a common one.
yes, yeah. So there's all kinds of things. So this really gives you the chance to figure out what's important in your life,
Yeah.
figure out what your values are, and figure out what you like, because were you happy the way you were living your life before? Because we were really rushed. Everybody was always rushed.
Yeah.
You were always thinking of the next thing and the next place you were going and so on. And we've really had the chance to slow down and decide what's important in life.
Yeah, I think that the slowing down piece is a good opportunity for us to reflect on kind of where we are, what we want to do. And so, one message I'll let people know is that, don't just stay stagnant though. Like, certainly take the
No,
time to enjoy the slow down time, but now think about, okay, how do you want to pivot? How do you want to move forward? And what do you want to do in the next 3 to 6 months? Because it's good to start now versus waiting. And I think a lot of people are waiting. I mean, the fact that you started this video series the weekend after everything started, that's great. Other people are, taking a month off or a week off, but now, like, this is the perfect time now to think about, what do I want to do? And because a lot of people don't know where to begin, right? They don't know where to start. And I always say, start with your personal brand, start with diving your values, but start by having conversations and talking to people. You talk to 5 people you admire and seek their advice. And I think you'll probably get some really good feedback on what you can start doing and what you should be doing. And I think that'll get you, and that'll give you some purpose, because through this all, it's good to kind of create some sort of sense of purpose around what we're trying to do now as we move
right.
forward. And I think that's an important thing for people to invest in.
Right, true. And this is your chance to lay the groundwork.
Exactly.
For whatever it is to come, because we know, as you were saying, we know that online's not going away, and your brand is important. So take the time to figure out there's so much information you can find online, and the people reaching out to different people, everybody's at home. Everybody has slowed down, so they're more open to talking to you and serving. Yes. And everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to help each other out as well. So yeah, it's a perfect time for that. And lay the groundwork, do the work. Yeah. Everything's there online if you want to sit there, or you can learn anything if you spend the time. Yeah. So yeah, and then go forward, and we'll see what the world's going to look like going forward as well. Great. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Bobby, for your time. That was great talking to you.
Pleasure.
I think that we'll see how everything's going to go moving forward, and it's interesting. There's a lot of opportunity. There really is. There's a lot of opportunity. This is a period of time when innovation comes out of things like this.
Right.
Out of periods.
We innovate during time like this. Yeah, during trying times, we innovate more and we find ways to get through it. So it's going to add to our, the university is going to add to our resilience, to our innovation and creativity. So yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. I really appreciate the discussion.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So when I put this interview up, I will put your information underneath as well.
Right.
And I look forward to connecting with you in person sometime in the future.
Sounds good, Michelle. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much. So bye, everybody.